Finally, we've made it to the Pseudo Legends of Unova. We're reading them all, and well, little Deino and this line as a whole are just the epitome of what's wrong with Unova. To start with the positive, pre-Gen 6's introduction of fairies, Dark Dragon is one of the strongest and coolest type combinations, but that's kind of where that ends. Because its ability Hustle is awful to use, its stats aren't even good for if you found it in the early game, but of course you don't at all, and doesn't evolve for the first time until level 50. Hard to believe I'm giving this to a dragon type Pseudo, but that's 1 star in battle prowess. And of course, as just mentioned, its availability is terrible. You can't find it until Victory Road in Unova, the sequels in Kalos, and a super late game in Galar as a version exclusive. That's about as bad as it gets. So yeah, that's 1 star in availability. Now, we've never counted the names into concept before, but I do still have to give a nod to the German 123 HYDREIGON. That's cool, especially for a European dragon line, which of course gets much deeper as it evolves. But for now, this is a pretty basic baby dragon dino creature outside of it being blind, so it tackles and bites its surroundings. For now, 2.5 stars. It does have a pretty good design, even if it is a bit simple. The wounds along its body are a nice touch, and I do like the singular, hair, horn thing on its head. It's obviously a nice precursor for what's to come, while helping with the look of like a toddler with a cowlick or something. It did pull weirdly high for such an unassuming design. It's not bad by any means, but there's not a whole lot of positive to look at either. I'll meet in the middle and go with 3.5 stars. Wait, no, so that means Deino gets 2 stars overall, which is not only the worst Pseudo score so far, but the worst Unova score so far. Will Zweilous redeem Deino's abysmal placement? We're reading them all, and let's find out. Sadly, in battle, it's really not much better. Honestly, it's a very similar discussion overall. Fantastic type combination, at least in Gen 5 before the fairies showed up. Very annoying ability and stats that aren't terrible, but are just nowhere near good enough considering you won't be using it until the end game. It doesn't evolve until level 64. Sure, Crunch and Dragon Rush will hit like a truck, but like if that truck was trying to hit a bird flying on the highway. I guess 1.5 stars, but this is a tough one to judge. Availability is interesting. You can't get Deino until basically Victory Road everywhere, and it has that high evolution level, but you can just catch a Zweilous outright in those same spots, so it'll get the same 1 star. Concept, however, it does thankfully start to hint at the Hydra inspirations, which are of course the focus of this whole line, and we'll go into more detail with Hydreigon, but I do think it's funny how the heads don't like each other and that it was originally supposed to be a tank Pokemon. 4 stars. And its design isn't bad by any means. Even if it is basically just a dino with 2 heads and little wings, that's kind of the point. You can really see the scrapped tank ideas here though, with the tread tracks on the torso and the general stockiness of it. Again, it pulled surprisingly high. I think these pre-evos are getting some holdover bias from Hydreigon for sure. It's pretty good though, 3.5 stars. Which will at least grow Zweilous' final score to 2.5 stars overall, but still in the bottom 5. Is Hydreigon the worst pseudo-legendary Pokemon or closer to the best? We're reading them all, and let's find out. In battle, it's really not a discussion. At least in Gen 5, this thing was a genuine menace. 125 special attack and at least 90 in every other stat is pretty amazing on its own. But pair that with Levitate and its awesome Dark Dragon typing, which before they let the fairies loose was even more amazing, and you have yourself a very strong Pokemon, obviously. Its move pool is also actually ridiculous, great level up moves across the board, and so many TMs that you could absolutely run this thing mixed or even physical if you want. Pretty obviously 5 stars there. However, we all know it's coming. Availability. Deino and Zweilous can both actually be found as early as Victory Road in all but one region they're in, but then you have to grind those pretty awful little dragons all the way to level 64, which is past the champion of every single region, by the way, other than Alder. Still, that's pretty obviously gonna get a penalty down from Deino's 1 star to 0.5 stars, which still feels generous. Thankfully though, conceptually it again crushes it. It is of course based on the Hydra-style dragon found in many different cultures, mythologies, and religions. And that terrible evolution level might at least contain a nice reference to Ghidorah's first big screen appearance. Though the tank and sock puppet stuff do feel very random, either way I think this is a safe 5 stars. Oh, but its design is going to get me yelled at. Okay, first, let me preface this with the fact that I do not dislike Hydreigon. In fact, it was battling for my favorite Unova Pokemon for a long time. But I do think that it's overrated. Again, starting with the positives, the overall color scheme is amazing. It looks really good while also doing a good job of portraying a dark or evil dragon, especially with the red eyes and black wings. And the center head looks really good and vicious and scary, and the frills or opened up hood structure from its prevos look really cool and intimidating. However, the legs look like torn off without any explanation as to why, and most obviously is the sock puppet hands for heads. I get that they're brainless now, but you could have at least given them some teeth or eyes or something. They just completely take away from the brutal terror style dragon. They're so goofy and dumb looking, but of course, to no surprise, it pulled overwhelmingly 5 stars. I would have still given it probably 4 stars, so I'll meet in the middle at 4.5, which thankfully still gives Hydreigon a respectable 3.75 stars overall, just missing out on the Pseudo's top 5.